Hi everyone, my name is Ernest Obiena. I'm with Dr. Harold and Dr. Unica, and this is Health Vault, where we jump into fundamental topics about health and wellness. Let's start for today's topic. We will be talking about the Olympic diet. Doctors, as an Olympian, I follow quite a strict regimen in the way I eat, in the timing of the way I eat, and also the periodization depending on my training. My diet is really based on keto. It's not pure keto, but it's based on keto, so I really don't have sugar, anything that's high carbs. So my carbs are mainly from vegetables, rarely about potatoes. It's good fat, a lot of good fats I would say, hopefully. It's based in avocado, salmon, very lean meat, chicken, fish.
Actually, what you're doing is much patterned with what we also see in most of our patients with diabetes. So, in fact, some of the guidelines are recommending to adopt this Mediterranean sort of diet where it's rich in protein, rich in your polyunsaturated fatty acids, and also limiting the amount of carbohydrates that you take. So I think this is something that probably has worked for the Greeks back then, and this is something you're also doing. So it's applicable to you, and I think it's also applicable to most of our patients with diabetes, especially for the carbohydrate part.
For me, I heard you said meron kang salmon, you also said avocado, so it's basically a well-balanced diet. So if I may add, so for fats, you need to, as Harold mentioned, polyunsaturated, meaning fats from plants. So it's good that you're eating avocado, so it's good for the brain, for the cells of the body. Very basic, very helpful also, and it keeps your cholesterol low. Very healthy siya for the heart. So for everyone else who's watching, we need to add at least 2 to 3 servings of fish per week.
My food is prepared is the least amount of seasoning. The seasoning of my side is typically the best is honey mustard. That's all that I could have. Through experience, I've also learned that I can only push that to a certain extent before my performance actually degrade, and I get irritable, and so I would say I love salty foods, but it's not part of the diet book.
Yeah, and then I think there's also one important point you mentioned earlier was about the amount of carbohydrates that you take, because of course here in the Philippines we have a lot of patients with diabetes, and I think one of the hardest parts to do in their diet is how to limit their carbohydrates.
Which is rice.
Yes, rice and pasta, pancit, and all the kakanins that we have, diba, during our celebrations.
First week I'm gonna be back. It's gonna be hard for me to really stop myself from eating anything sweet. But after that, you really kind of you don't miss it. Especially when your body gets into that, it switches to keto, you really don't miss it. At least that's how I get it. And also I don't buy it, therefore it helps control myself a little bit better.
So it's good for you that you don't miss it because it lowers your risk for diabetes, and also it helps you lose weight when you're not drinking sugary drinks, and it's really necessary to avoid that because it helps you with your cardiovascular risk.
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, sugar, when our insulin is spiked, we can't burn fat.
Yes, in fact, when you take in sugar, it will cause the insulin to increase in the body, and that insulin prevents you from breaking down fats and sugar into carbohydrates. So it's like a storage molecule.
I just want to remind everybody that you do and you choose the diet that works best for you. So for EJ, it worked. We need to understand that sometimes we can't be fasting all the time because what goes up is the bad cholesterol that we need to avoid heart disease, of course.
Thanks for joining me in this episode of Health Vault. See you on our next video.